Welcome everyone. Today's session of the E3. Today we have Danielle Rochelle from the Office of Student Care and Conduct, and she's going to talk to us about how best we can help our students. To our participants in the Zoom room, kindly introduce yourself with your name and department in the chat. Shall we welcome Danielle Rochelle?
Thank you. All right, so as I said, I'm Danielle Rochelle and I work in the Office of Student Care and Conduct. I am one of two specialists in the office, and we also have a care coordinator that works with us as well. And so we're a small crew, but we try to do as best we can to help as many students as possible. I'm hitting the right buttons.
Okay.
All right. So we try to have a holistic approach in how we work with students, because we know that our students are not just going to class. Like, they have lives outside of the classroom and outside of our campus that are going to impact how they show up for us every day. And so we want to make sure that whenever we're working with our students, we are thinking about the whole picture and not just a piece of the puzzle. And so the primary role of the care team is to outreach to students and kind of check in with them to see what's going on and see what interventions or what resources we need to put in place to make sure that those students have the best experience and have the chance at the best success while they're here on our campus. And so CARE also is an acronym. And so that in addition to just being CARE as we know it to be, it also stands for our Campus Action Response and Engagement Team. So on the screen, you'll see various reasons or various statements that we may see in some of the care referrals that we receive in our office. And so care referrals are not limited to those who are on our campus. Anyone that can access our website can send in a referral. We do not have a login or authentication screen that blocks people from completing that form. And so some of the things that we may get in our office is parents concerned about their student because they haven't heard from them, so they may be requesting a wellness check. Roommates may have noticed a change in behavior, classmates, same thing, or instructors may notice like a student who was formerly really engaged in the class is no longer engaged and they stop showing up. And so we are the group that will outreach to those students to kind of see what's going on, how can we help and support you while you're here. And so overall, again, like I said, our referral system is set up so that parents, students, instructors, just concerned people from the community can submit those referrals on behalf of the student, or a student can submit a referral for themselves. And we want to make sure that we're not limiting what students can or what can be submitted so that we can have as much information as possible so that we have a full view of what's going on. And so when those referrals are submitted, we want to make sure that you can't submit them anonymously. So I'll say that part. But in addition to submitting it anonymously, we want to make sure that you're giving us as much information as possible, because we're not going to just immediately share with the student who has referred them to our office, because we know that that can be a little bit of a sensitive situation, because you don't want to feel like you've broken the student's trust by submitting the referral. And so we don't just say, hey, Dr. So-and-so submitted this referral for you. That's not how we do it. When we outreach to the students, we just plainly say, a member of our community has expressed concern for something that you're going through, and we want to just check in with you and see if there's any additional resources we can provide. If a student asks us plainly, like, who submitted this referral, but the person who submitted it wants to remain anonymous, we don't share that information. If the person who submitted the referral is comfortable with that information being shared, then we will share it. But it's usually we'll wait on the student to initiate that question before we give that information out. So these are typically some of the things on the screen are usually what we get referrals in for. One of the big ones right now that we've gone through the midterm, is students have stopped showing up for class. And so that's that big one that I was talking about before, where you may have a student that was previously engaged in the classroom and now they just completely stopped showing up. They're not responding to emails. And so you're concerned as an instructor as like what's going on. Am I missing something? And so in those cases, we will reach out to the students and say, hey, we noticed that you have not been attending classes you normally would have. Is there something that we need to be aware of so we can make sure you have the appropriate resources in place? We may also have students who are experiencing grief and loss that are impacting their attendance in the classroom. And so with some of those things, we just want to make sure that we are aware and the students don't feel like they're out there having to deal with these major things by themselves. Suicidal ideation, depression, and anxiety are also fairly common things that we're seeing coming through as in referrals as well. And when we see those usually are initiated with a phone call versus an email. If they don't answer the phone, then we will follow up with an email, wait a couple of days, call again, send another email, wait a couple of days. So we are very persistent in trying to get in contact with these students, because any student that is coming through our office with any of those mental health concerns, we want to make sure that we're getting them connected to our on-campus counseling services or the psychological services that are in our Bell Street building. Because again, we don't want our students to feel like if they don't have insurance or they don't have the financial means to get that help, we want them to know that there are free services available on campus that can help address some of those mental health concerns. And within our office, our care coordinator, she's a licensed social worker, and I'm not licensed, but I also have a background in mental health interventions and things like that. But I'm so far removed that I never tell students that I'm acting in a role as a counselor, because I'm not a counselor. But we do want people to understand that we didn't just happen upon this work. We actually had the experience in working with some of these issues. We just don't act in the role as a therapist or counselor because we are not licensed to do that. Disruptive behavior is another one that comes through. With the disruptive behavior, we take those on to make sure that our faculty also understand we're also here to support you as well. And so if you have a student that is sending you inappropriate emails, or they're sending you 50 to 100 emails back to back to back, because we do have some students who treat emails like text messages, and they will send in a barrage of things. We're happy to intervene as needed to make sure our faculty feel supported in those situations. Our care process just started last academic year. And so within the last academic year, there were 1,001 care cases that came through the office. I was not in this office at that time. There was only 2 staff members who were handling these care cases. And so you can imagine what that workload looked like for the office at that time. I was a part of the care team within the first iteration of the care process on campus. And so with that, collectively, all tried to make sure that we were outreaching to these students and making sure that they had the support that they needed. So those are split between soft touches and active cases. So soft touches, I will tell you, those are the students that we may outreach to, make sure they have knowledge of what the campus resources are. But usually those are the students who did not respond or the students who did not want to meet. The active cases are going to be the students that we saw in our office physically, the students that we talk to on the phone fairly regularly, or repeat cases. And then again, you can see that the mental health concerns were one that kind of rose to the top, along with academic disengagement. Another thing that our office does is we give out meal vouchers to students who may want to eat in either McCallie or Farmers Market. We allow students up to 5 meal vouchers a semester, and if they need to go beyond that, we require that they meet with a care coach to get more than that 5 that we give out. And then we've got the demographic breakdown of the students seen through the care process as well. All right, so some things to look for in the classroom that we will take on as a care referral to make sure that these students are being supported as best as possible. So a sudden or unexpected change in classroom or research performance, decline in enthusiasm for class, so no longer participating in class discussions. So we know in the classroom, we usually may have like that 1 or 2 students who actually helps like engage in the classroom environment versus just staring at you blankly as if they don't know what you're saying or what's going on. Frequent requests for special provision. So if this is a student who does not have accommodations set in place by the Disability and Access Center, but they're constantly asking for extensions or they're constantly turning in work late, things like that to be aware of. Disruptive, hardened, or unusual participation in class questions off topic, argumentative, and discussions. Again, this also counts for if they're doing this via email or in an online class and discussion posts and things of that nature. Strange or bizarre writing. Writing is off topic to prompt. Writing includes violent imagery, fantasy, and poor focus or attention during class. So these are all things that can warrant a care referral to our office within the classroom setting. Some of the emotional indicators, I'm not going to read all of these off to you, but just kind of, again, if you're seeing these things in the classroom and you're reading these things in your students' assignments, and these things are causing concern. And if you pull the student to the side, because you're going to see these students more often than we would, and you're having these conversations with students, and some of these things come up, or you have a student that's normally pretty put together, and all of a sudden they're crying, or you see them in distress in class. So these are things that we want to know about, because we want to know how to best help the student. We don't want to refer a student to join a student organization if they're struggling to get to campus because they have unreliable transportation. So that's one of the reasons that we need to know as much information as you can provide. Even if you want to stay anonymous, more is better than just a couple of sentences of things. And then physical indicators. We all know freshman 15 is a thing, because students get on campus and they're going to eat and drink whatever they want to. So we expect that. But if you're saying something on the extreme end of things, please let us know, or refer the students to health services. And sometimes health services will also refer those students back to us. If they're seeing something in office, they may say, okay, we've done what we need to do on our end, but the student could use some extra support. And so they'll usually give us a little bit of information as to how they think we can best help the student beyond their physical appointments. And I also want to say, if you have been on campus for a good amount of time and you feel like you have a good grasp of what our resources are on campus, please feel free to share those with the student in addition to the care referral. We have several people on our campus who will refer the student, but in addition to doing that, they will also let the students know, like, hey, these things are available. You are also free to walk the students to our office or to counseling services or health services, any of those things for that warm handoff. Because sometimes you bringing that student to us is the only way we will be able to meet with that student. Because as we know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can give students all the resources in the world, but that does not mean they're going to follow through with actually utilizing those. So sometimes that warm handoff is going to be the best thing that we can do. Any questions so far?
We invite participants in the Zoom room to put their questions in the chat if they have any.
All right, so this screen here, this QR code will take you directly to the Care and Conduct website. And so when you get to that website, on the right-hand side, you will see this selection of blue buttons here. Those top two are going to be where you can submit referrals. The top one being the care referral, where you're concerned about a student's well-being. And the second is going to be a conduct violation or concern. And so the conduct violation or concern is where you will submit things if a student is being disruptive in class, the student is sending you inappropriate emails, they're saying things or replying to classmates in an inappropriate way. That's when you would submit that conduct violation or concern. But anything else is going to go to that care referral. And even if you send in a care referral that's going to be more conduct based, we can switch that on our end, so you don't have to worry about that. So when you click on the form itself, it's going to pull up this form here. And so like I said before, there is no login or authentication that's going to stop you from completing this form. And we don't track who is submitting it. So there's like no backdoor way that we can see who submitted the form. So if you don't put your information in, we don't know that you submitted it. And we do have some referrals come in that way, and that's completely fine. But just so that you know what you're looking at once you submit that. And so it's going to ask a series of questions so that we can get that information that we need when we're reaching out to the student. And I would also say, when you're putting in the information on the student, the information that's going to be most important to us, if you don't know their full name, make sure you're putting the M number in there, because then we can look up the information on the student. Because we have had some where we just have the first name, and an M number, that's fine. We can look up the last name, but if nothing else, at least give us the M number. All right, so these are just some important numbers to know. So ours, in addition to the Office of Civil Rights Compliance and MTSU Police. If there's something emergent happening, do not worry about reaching out to us. Your first stop is going to always be calling campus police. Just a 2424 if you're on campus, or if you witness a student involved in something off campus, just call 911. With our campus police, if campus police are called and a student is involved, typically those will come to her office in the form of a police report. So even if a referral is not completed, we pull the police reports to see what's going on with our students, because it may be a student code of conduct violation that we need to be aware of and address, or it could be a care concern. And so don't ever feel like because there was an emergency and you didn't think to put in a referral that you've missed a step. We will get that information one way or the other, okay? The Office of Civil Rights Compliance and how they differ from us. So if a student is filing a complaint against an instructor or a staff member, administrator, they're going to be directed to Civil Rights Compliance. And so we are going to be the office that handles student-on-student issues or student towards faculty or staff issues, because we are the ones who help to make sure our students are falling in line with our code of conduct. Okay? And so if you have issues of care, so student well-being, academic concerns, or just you're having issues with the student behaviorally in your classroom, feel free to reach out to us. And that's going to be our phone number or email address. Either way, we're looking at all of them all day long. So likely not to miss it. So again, just reiterating, emergencies are going to be campus police, 911. And if you think about it and have the time to do so after you've alerted all of the proper authorities, please feel free to submit a care referral. Otherwise, we can get it on the back end as a police report. If 911 is called, we're not as likely to get that information, okay? So unless you tell us if 911 is called, we may not get the information. So it's always nice to kind of do that referral on the back end in those instances. But if it happens on campus, 9 times out of 10, we'll find out. If you're unsure or it's not urgent, absolutely send it our way. All right, so we've made it to the end. It said it's pretty short and sweet, but this is our contact information. We're in the office 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. And so referrals that come in later in the day, we may get the next morning. We may read it that afternoon, just kind of depending on the severity. But if you're submitting a care referral and you want us to pull it immediately, submit it and call us before you submit it. But if it's something that you feel like we need to see, and it's honestly, no matter what time of day it is, it's between those office hours, give us a call so that we know to go in and pull it. Because we typically will meet in the mornings on the referrals that we received in, and then reach out to students throughout the day. But we don't always see those late afternoon ones until the following day. And so if it's something that you know that we need to get on right then, let us know. Okay, but if there's no questions, that is all I've got.
Any questions?
I have just a personal observation since last semester,
Mhm.
I mean, last fall. So there was this students and, by the way, I'm Ruby Devi and I work as a research associate at Berk.
Mhm.
And I attended one of your seminars before. And so she was pretty good student and I think her major was economics.
Mhm.
And in between the group, because they work as a student worker in our center, so in between she was a good student, but I don't know, something changed. Like the following semester, she became very regular, stopped coming, and kind of like a couple of times our secretary, she emailed her back about student hours, work hours, and this and that. So we didn't hear from her. But I didn't know at that time where to, like a couple of other students also got a little concerned, like we didn't see her anyway. So I think, Dr. Eric, supervisor, our director, he probably made chair or something. But in that case, it's not like we really can do anything. It's just like anytime a student can quit, work.
Right.
So it's not a thing, but I felt that she had something bigger because she mentioned to other students in between talks.
Right.
Some other issues, then one of our work assignment meetings, she kind of said certain things, her personal, like family life, the pressure she had from her mom,
We
get
say that too.
married, and she is one of those,
Yeah.
students who has come all the way from Sudan, like, kind of. So those things,
Yeah.
like, and then I didn't exactly know which route.
Yeah.
We just discussed it with her and I reported it to our director, that's it.
And sometimes that's all our faculty will know to do, right? And in some of those instances, students may be more willing to talk to you all than they are to us. And so it just it depends on the students, because if the students aren't talking to you all, they're likely not gonna talk to us either. We don't have any magic touch that forces them to talk to us. So we will do our best. There have been instances where we've gotten multiple referrals on a student and we see that things are escalating, but we haven't talked to the student. We will pull up a student's schedule and show up outside their classroom to see if they went to class. We will also contact campus police to do a wellness check if we need to. If we can do it, then we'll do it, or if we call the police to see if they'll do it. But if it's to that point where it's like somebody needs to lay eyes on the student, then we'll go to those measures. But if we don't feel like it warrants that, then we'll send emails and we'll make phone calls in the hopes that they respond, but they don't always respond. And there have been some students where they'll respond and say, I've got a really good relationship with my faculty member, or I'm working with counseling services. I don't feel like I need to talk to someone else, and we may back off. And there have been students who are like, I'm seeing this person, this person, this person. And I've just told them, like, this is 100% voluntary. I can't force you to talk to me or meet with me. I just need you to know that we're available and these are the resources, but we don't force them to talk to us.
I mean, till that, I kept thinking so that we have done something different, but I didn't have anything. I didn't even have her personal phone number. It's just an email, and
Yeah.
repeatedly we're emailing. And not like, oh, come and,
Yeah.
give us an update about
Yeah.
why you didn't show up or something. It's like, hey, you're doing okay, this,
And sometimes that's what it feels like, what we're doing too. It's, hey, we just want to make sure that you're good.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
have
I
to
mean,
give us
that's-
the details. We just want to make sure that you're okay. And as an institution, you understand that we're here to support you, but we're not gonna force them, because they may be like, I'm fine, and that's all we get. So we document it and we just leave the door open if they want to come back through it, but we won't force them.
That's good too.
Yeah, for our participants in the Zoom room, I put the link to the referral form in the chat, so you can feel free to copy that. All right, in the absence of any questions or further discussions, we would like to end the session now. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.